He played a part in the liberation of slavery, a revolution that changed the history of the world. He's known for his fight for equality and justice, a great leader that established a new map for the United States. But he wasn't all that great, and his life would include a struggling childhood and a continuous mourning of his beloveds. This is the life story of the 16th President of the United States, Honest Abe, and respected Abraham Lincoln, who a political enemy later assassinated. His childhood. Abraham Lincoln's first visit to the world was on February 12, 1809, in a small cabin near Hodgenville, Kentucky. He was the first son and second child. He had an elder sister named Sarah. Thomas Lincoln, his father, had a very rough childhood after his father died in an Indian raid in 1786, which led the poor boy to labor jobs from a tender age. And this was what he did even after he had his children. When Abraham was 7 years old, his family experienced the misfortune of losing their land over property titles. They decided to move to a better, soothing environment with no slaveholding, Perry County, a frontier edge in Indiana. Due to his father's vocation, low educational background, and financial struggle, Abraham Lincoln had little formal education. He was expected to take after his father in his work and work to support his family. Early influence and discovery. His mother died due to a milk sickness in 1818 when he was about 9 years old, a loss that left a void in Lincoln's heart. His sister quickly filled the space as the caretaker, creating a different and comfortable relationship with the young lad. A year later, their father remarried a beautiful widow named Sarah Johnston, and if people thought she would be the typical stepmother in Cinderella, they were quite wrong. His stepmother was another woman in Abraham's life whom he loved so much. His stepmother also discovered the gem ignored by many in Abraham. The truth is, Abraham was labeled a lazy child as a teenager due to his dislike of farm work, though he did what he could. In every free time he could get, the lad brings out a book to read, knowing full well he would not get the privilege to do so due to their finances. He taught himself reading, which wasn't exactly appreciated by his father. His stepmom was the one who understood that the boy wasn't lazy at all. He was brilliant. He didn't just like to put much time he could read into farming. His interest in books was so intense that he read late into the night, leaving him red-eyed and blotted the next day. His father might not have been impressed by him, but he had the backing of his stepmother. Having the support of his sister and stepmother was enough encouragement for him. But another misfortune took his sister from him in 1828 when she died in childbirth. Adult life. Abraham might not like working on farms, but he was responsible for his family. He took work outside, making a living and giving his father the money he earned. He did this till he got to the age of 21 years. In 1830, Thomas moved his family to western Illinois in Macon County due to another milk sickness. Abraham and Thomas didn't see eye to eye, and they had different ideologies about life, with the former being academia, and the latter a handyman. This was why when Thomas moved again to Coles County, Abraham decided to go independent as a 22-year-old man in New Salem, Illinois. It was here he started his career. The beginning. His independence brought about a new dawn, and he could speak without feeling guilty about hurting his father's feelings. Illinois had a booming economy which encouraged Abraham to purchase a general store in 1832, with one of his friends, Denton Uffert, as a partner. It was a drastic move for him, and as opposed to what he had expected from the business, it started failing. He was forced to sell his shares. That same year, Lincoln, an intellectual and a man with a growing vision, decided to go into politics. He had an opinion about slavery, having had his grandfather die in a raid. He ran for Illinois General Assembly, using his great oratory skills. But Abraham was just that, Abraham, a man with a struggling father and no connections. He might have the skills to draw the audience, but he needed more powerful backing from those controlling the system. This didn't deter him. He must have known he had a low chance of winning because he enlisted as a militia captain, defending Illinois in the Black Hawk War. Black Hawk, a Sauk chief, attempted to reclaim his former lands because he thought he'd been duped in a recent property deal. As a captain in this war, he was known to be a man of integrity and pragmatism and was well respected by his men. After the war, he decided to venture into law. In 1834, he campaigned for a seat in the Illinois State Assembly, and now he wasn't just Abraham, but a man with some influence. He won the position serving under the Whig political party. Political career. After his win, he served 4 more terms in the Illinois House of Representatives for Sangamon County. Like his Whig heroes, he was against the acceptance of slavery in the territories, especially when humans were sold for commercialization and hard labor tools in farms. He continued his voyage in law and passed his bar exams in 1936. He moved to Springfield after being admitted into the Illinois bar and began practicing law under John T. Stewart, who would later become his in-law. Marital life. He was quite the charmer and could use his oratory to spook women, which was how he got to get Mary Todd, whom he met in 1839 and got married to in 1842. Mary was from a wealthy family and didn't mind that her charming and intelligent husband worked under her cousin. The couple had 4 sons, Robert Todd, Edward Baker, Willie and Thomas Lincoln, whom he cherished and was very fond of. He never hesitated to take them to his law office to witness what he did, which was unusual for some of his partners. It, however, would become unfortunate for Lincoln, as 3 of their sons died before they were proper adults. A few years later, Lincoln ran for U.S. House of Representatives. Mr. President. Lincoln was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1846 and took office the following year. Many Illinois citizens disliked Lincoln as a legislator because of his vehement opposition to the Mexican-American War. This same year, he lost one of his sons, Edward. In 1849, after promising not to run for office again, he moved back to Springfield. He even declined the position of governor of Oregon Territory, a consolation from Zachary Taylor after Lincoln made him win his election in 1848. After serving in Congress, Lincoln concentrated on his all-encompassing legal business in the early 1850s, challenging the judicial system with unquestionable facts that brought around justice for his clients. His success in court garnered him the name Honest Abe. People began to notice him more, not just as a lawyer but also as a man with vision, especially after his speech at Peoria on October 16, 1854, in which he made his feelings on embedded slavery and the injustices that resulted from it clear. He emphasized his past efforts as well as those of his mentor, Henry Clay, in the fight to end it. This revolutionary statement nullified the Kansas-Nebraska Act of the Whig Party, which was in ruin. In 1856, he joined the brand new Republican Party, which sparked a long-running debate on sectionalism. Lincoln became a significant player in American politics due to a series of contentious discussions over slavery and his place in the country in 1858 with Stephen A. Douglas, who sponsored the 1854 Kansas-Nebraska Act. His anti-slavery advocacy was taken as contempt by the Southerners, and when he was nominated for president, they couldn't hide their displeasure. By November 6, 1860, Lincoln, the Pawn farm boy from Kentucky, became the 16th President of the United States. The Civil War. Abraham might have won the battle by becoming the president, but the war was just about to surface. After years of interregional strife, the election of the 16th President of the United States, a Northerner who opposed slavery, pushed many Southerners over the edge. 7 Southern states had already seceded from the Union. They had established the Confederate States of America by the time Lincoln took office as the 16th President of the United States in March 1861. Lincoln's choice to fight rather than for the Southern states to secede was not influenced by his sentiments about slavery. Instead, he believed it was his holy duty as President of the United States to protect the Union at all costs. 7 of the rebellious states, who had already seceded, were urged to rejoin the Union in his first inauguration address, which ended with "Shall it be peace or the sword?" in the first draft. The war lasted for 4 years, with Lincoln being the commander-in-chief and exercising authority through strategic planning, weapon building, testing, and the struggle of capable officers and generals that could lead the war. In 1862, slavery was abolished in the District of Columbia. By September 1982, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation to go into effect on January 1st of the next year. In the document, the president freed all enslaved people in Confederate areas. A month after, Willie died of fever in the White House. In 1864, re-election was won after the Union military victory, which ended the war. With a vision of peace for America, the president quickly encouraged Southerners to join the reunion. The reason was evident in his second inaugural speech: with malice towards none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right. Let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds. His assassination. Lincoln was killed at Ford's Theater in Washington on Good Friday, April 14, 1865, by actor John Wilkes Booth, thinking he was helping the South. The outcome, however, was the exact opposite, because with Lincoln's passing, the chance of a long-lasting peace was also lost. He was known for many things: a great leader, a superb lawyer, and a man whose quotes still reflect in society many years later. If you like this biography, please like the video and subscribe to our channel to be amongst the first to know when we release a new video. Here are more videos for you to watch. See you in one of the next videos.